Well, hello, everyone. What a special surprise we have today. We have Dr. Peter Rork from Dog is My Co-Pilot. Now, if you have not heard of Dog is My Co-Pilot before, are you in for a real treat? So let's begin the show. Well, hello, Peter. Boy, you've had a rough day today. My gosh, the last I knew was that you were out on the road at what, 4 o'clock this morning, right?
Well, we got up at 4 this morning in Hobbs, New Mexico, met the dogs at the airport. We loaded them up and we were up by about 10 minutes before 6. Flew from Hobbs, New Mexico, a little over 3 hours up to Centennial Airport in Denver. I dropped off half the dogs that I had on board and picked up one dog that I'm transporting on. And then from Centennial Airport, flew over to Logan, Utah, dropped off another 20 animals or so, and then went down to Salt Lake City, dropped off another 20 animals, and then jumped in the plane again and headed down to Phoenix. Now, tomorrow we have another rescue flight already planned.
Yeah. Well, Peter, I have been following you for a long time, and the first time I had met you was when you did a flight to Las Cruces, and you did that early in the morning, and we couldn't hear very well, so I'm so glad that you're on the show now. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into going from being an orthopedic surgeon to Dog is My Co-Pilot.
Well, I started out as a pilot. I actually had my pilot's license before I had my driver's license, and went to college and then was trying to decide, should I be a pilot for a living or go to medical school? And medicine seemed much more interesting at the time, and as it turned out, it was the right choice. So I worked my way through medical school as a pilot, teaching, doing charter work, sightseeing tours over the Chesapeake Bay. Went to med school in Baltimore, and then relocated to Albuquerque, New Mexico, internship and residency. Came to Phoenix, did a hand surgery fellowship here, off to California for a knee fellowship. Practiced in Sun Valley, Idaho for 5 years. Terrific location, but it just didn't feel like home. And then landed in Jackson, Wyoming. Now, in Jackson, I had a patient who was into animal rescue, and she was located in Idaho Falls. And she was involved in a rescue group called Golden Retriever of the Rockies, or GRR. And so she asked me to transport some dogs from Idaho Falls down to Steamboat Springs. And I thought that would be just a great thing to do for a friend and a great thing to do for dogs. I've always had dogs. And I never felt that a house smelled like a home without a wet dog smell. So I transported those dogs, and it kind of became a habit. And I started looking forward to the future. What was I going to do when I left medicine? And every occupation or career has an expiration date, and you don't want to stay beyond. So I walked out of medicine in 2012, and I started the nonprofit Dog is My Co-Pilot, and I thought that I would do this full time. I had a Cessna 206 at the time. It's a small 6-seater piston engine, and I could carry 20 or 30 dogs and cats, provided they were small dogs and cats like Chihuahuas or Chihuahuas or Min Pins and that type of thing. But I was always leaving the large dogs behind, and I'm a big dog kind of person. So I did that for a number of years. I was flying about 1,000 dogs a year. And after one particular flight where I was extremely crowded in the airplane, my oldest daughter, Taylor, who's an attorney and is actually the general counsel for Dog is My Co-Pilot, said, "Dad, get a bigger airplane. You'll be
Yeah.
So So I started the search and I found a Cessna Caravan, and this thing is like an old swayback. This thing had been ridden hard and put away wet. Nobody wanted this airplane. So I went up and I looked at it, and it was perfect for hauling dogs. They don't care what the interior looks like. I just wanted to make sure that the one moving part, which is the engine up front, was in good shape. So it's a Cessna Caravan. It's turbine powered. I mean, it would carry 14 people if I had the seats in it, but I pulled all the seats out and I started flying many more dogs. But what was really important to me is I was able to finally fly the much larger dogs. I mean, 50, 70 pound animals that just wouldn't fit in the 206. So the crates still take up a lot of room. And if I'm flying a lot of puppies, kittens, small dogs, I've had over 250 animals on one flight. If I have,
I think I have a picture. Hang on here a second. Is this like a picture of
well,
what
that's usually the start.
ah.
That's probably on the inside of a van. You don't see the metal roof on the in the caravan. So, but I'm able to if I carry a mixture of animals. I mean, today I had a full aircraft, almost full, out of Hobbs, New Mexico, and they were mostly medium to large dogs and some small dogs. And we had 60 on board. And I mean, for these dogs, it's a game changer. I mean, it's just the groups that are in the South, say Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, the Central Valley of California, they are completely overrun with strays, owner surrenders. You know, interestingly, I flew a bunch of Huskies today, and Husky is the new breed that's being owner surrendered at the shelter because everyone was watching Game of Thrones. They had some Huskies on there.
Ex- ex-
Everybody wants a Husky, and they had
yeah,
no idea how to deal with the breed, and
right.
it becomes too much of a challenge just grooming them, let alone exercising them. And so they dump them off at the shelter. That's a real shame. But the Huskies are taking their turn right now. A couple years ago, it was Legally Blonde with the Chihuahua in the
And the
handbag.
beagles for a
Yeah,
while.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And the Dalmatians before that. I mean, they all take their turns. And so we loaded up the airplane. We did our round robin today. The groups that are in the South are doing everything they can to save as many animals as they can. When I first started flying for a group in the Central Valley of California, Sharon Lohman in Merced, um, they were the local facility, and I hesitate to call them shelters. I mean, what? How can it be a shelter if you go in there and they kill you? So,
Right. Yeah. You know what? I never thought of that. That's a good point.
so
Very.
this facility was killing 94% of all the animals that came through the door.
Hmm.
And I was working with Marty Watts, who runs San Francisco SPCA, just a terrific gal, terrific program. And we were trying to set up a collaborative relationship between San Francisco and Jackson, Wyoming. And Marty pulled me inside and she said, those people in Jackson don't need your help, but I know somebody who does. So I flew down the next day. I met with Sharon, and they were desperate. They would load up 20, 30 animals and drive them to Portland and Seattle. They would drive them up to Missoula, Montana, or Boise, Idaho, to Salt Lake City or to Denver. And these are 16-hour trips one way. Now, you don't stop every 3 hours and let the dogs out to pee. Once they're in the crate till they
Yeah.
get to their destination. And tell me that's an easy trip for the animal. It is not. And it's tough on the people driving them too, because they can't stop, stay in a hotel, rest up with these dogs. They close up those back doors and they drive till they arrive at their destination. So I said, Sharon, I can knock that trip off in 4 hours. So I started flying for her a lot. I mean, there were a couple summers ago. I spent 30 nights in the Marriott Hotel in Merced, California, and believe me, it's not the garden spot. And then, of course, the word gets out. Not necessarily from Sharon because she wanted to keep it a secret all to herself, and I don't blame her because the resources they have just don't allow the long distance transport. But the receiving groups started saying, oh wow, could you fly dogs in from Roswell? Could you fly them in from Hobbs? Can you fly them in from Las Cruces? Can you fly them in from Phoenix? And
Hmm.
suddenly we're getting overwhelmed. So it was a good thing that we went to the larger aircraft, because going from flying 1,000 animals a year, which is great, we're flying over 3,000 animals a year. And
Oh my
today we just crossed the threshold of over 11,500 animals that
God.
I've flown.
Here, look at
Oh, there we
everyone.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hadn't
yeah,
seen the posting yet. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you, Kara Pollard, for doing that.
This is the website, folks, and look at that. Yeah, 11,578 animals saved. God bless you, Peter. I'm
You know
sorry to
what?
interrupt you there.
No, no, that's fine. I hadn't seen that posting. Now, Kara
No,
Pollard
it
does.
wasn't a posting. I did it myself. I
Oh,
took it
you
from
did?
your
Oh,
website.
okay. So you can track. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I feel really good about that. We're really making a mark. This is
Oh,
a this is not a dog problem. This is a people problem. And for every dog that's in the shelter, there's a person responsible. And so you're there. There's a line. You're on the line that's a solution, or you're over the line where you're the problem. All right. And actually, there are a lot of people in between who don't even pay attention, don't even know what's going on.
right,
And
right.
these are the people that, Kathy, we're counting on you to educate. Now, I I will observe that the people who are watching your show, they're already on board. All right. They're already team players. They already know what the problem is. And most of that credit goes to you. I mean, my gosh, what, over 4 million people
Yeah,
watching?
four four
Holy,
4.4 million in
yeah. I
every
mean,
month.
that,
Yeah, and
that's amazing.
it's a party of two that does this, my partner and myself. Thank you for bringing that up, Peter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm so impressed. I mean, we have a Facebook page and we have 16,000 people
yeah,
who follow, and it's interesting. And this is not a criticism, but we try to do fundraising. We're a 501(c)(3). We never charge the senders or the receivers. The other thing is that we only fly for a nonprofit to a nonprofit. So if someone calls me and they want their dog transported to their aunt Betty up, and I say no, we don't do that.
yeah,
Um, and the other thing is we only fly from a kill facility to a shelter, to a non-kill shelter, and you can use the word shelter with them. And these places will never put down a healthy animal. So if they're in a facility where they're not at risk, we're not. There are other dogs now
right.
understand that 10,000 animals a day are euthanized in this country, and these are
Oh,
perfectly healthy
here,
and adoptable
there you go.
animals. I mean, it's criminal. It's criminal. I mean, so there there are 8 million animals in a shelter. They'll adopt out half. They'll kill the other half, and they don't have a choice. They have a finite amount of space. More dogs are coming in. In Phoenix, they can take up to 200 dogs a day into their facility. What are they supposed to
Yeah,
do? And
y-
I
Peter. I'm
go
sorry, I
ahead.
didn't mean to. I just wanted to say one thing before I forget. Senior moment. I was just talking with my bestie earlier, saying that you have no idea if you're someone that works in a kill shelter. You walk in and you know that animal only has so many hours to live, and you're going to do everything that you can imaginable, and then if you go home and you come back the next day and you know that there was no hope, the whole world changes, everything changes. It's such an emotional thing. And especially because it's an animal that was healthy, or a puppy, and it was euthanized for no reason other than overpopulation. I'm right
Well,
with you on that, Peter. That's a sore. That's my Achilles heel there, and I'm sure it
yeah,
is for you too. So
yeah.
I
Well,
didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm
no,
passionate
no,
about it.
no. That's fine. No, I like that. So, along that same thought, I appreciate you having me on the show. I really do, and
Well,
getting the word out. But
but
I'm going to interrupt now. There
you go
it's
ahead.
going to be even. All right.
There you go.
The real heroes are the people who go to these facilities every day. They look at these dogs every day. They know that they're at risk for being killed. They change the water, they feed the animals, they groom them, they socialize them, they walk them. Their involvement with these animals can be 2 or 3 weeks. Now, down in Roswell and Hobbs, they take a dog in. If it's not claimed in 3 days, you know, that's awful. But I'm not working in those facilities. I don't know what their problems are. But the real heroes are the people who walk in every day and have to look at those animals. So I met the dogs at the airport this morning. We loaded them on the plane. They're already in the crates. My involvement with them is 6 or 8 hours. Now, yes, I'm getting them. I'm greatly expanding the geographic locations where these animals can be transported and saved. That's what we do. But we're not the heroes. I'm in transport. The real heroes are the senders and the receivers. These are the people who are doing all the heavy lifting. And my hat. Well, I'm not wearing a hat. My hat is off to them. I mean, I love working with these people. And over the years now, I've worked with the same people over and over and over again. They're happy to see me when I fly in because they know that the dogs that have been uh, chosen by the receiving groups are getting out alive.
Mm-hmm.
And now, some dogs have behavioral problems. I've been known to have behavioral problems. I
Me
mean,
too. Me
yeah, right.
too.
All right. We're all mammals and we all share. And so there are dogs that are not adoptable. But the the sending group works very closely with the receiving group to tag the animals that are most likely to be adopted. I'll give you an example. When we have a program that's set up between Merced, the Central Valley of California, and Missoula, Humane Society of Western Montana, a 98% adoption rate out of that facility. I love flying for them. But we have a program called the California Littles, and 3 times every summer they have a critter camp for the kids. Now, this, of course, there's a little motive to get this done, but they bring in about 20 or 30 kids. I fly in with 30 chihuahuas. We match the dog with the child. The child grooms and works with them the whole week of that day camp. And we're hoping that they're going to be a failed foster. Now, that's not a secret, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's we're introducing these children at a young age about the problem with overpopulation and helping to get these dogs adopted. And these little kids, they meet me at the airport. They have little signs, and I mean, it's really heartwarming. I mean, it's just really unbelievable. Those are my favorite flights. The California Littles out of California for Missoula.
Yeah. I have a video that I wanted to show, if you don't mind, of some of your work. Is it
Oh
okay with
yeah,
you?
yeah, sure.
Let me see here now. No, it's going to be. I'm gonna, wait, hang on just a second. Whoops.
I'm hanging on.
Hang on a second here.
I've been wearing a headset all day, so this is just fine.
Okay, here we go.
Those dogs stopped in Missoula. Some had to go home with their forever families. KPAX's Lauren Heitzen was there.
According to the ASPCA, each year around 1.5 million dogs and cats are euthanized in shelters around the U.S. That number is decreasing, in part thanks to the help of people like Kathy Clarkin. Clarkin is an animal advocate who's working tirelessly to help these animals find their families.
We rescue pit bulls from high kill shelters in Texas, and then we orchestrate transport to bring them up to Montana to their prospective adopters. 90% of the time, they have adopters waiting. And so we scheduled with this one transport, and it got hit in Wyoming at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it killed a dog.
On October 20th, a transport carrying 43 dogs was bound for Washington state before heading to Missoula. The transport, however, would never reach its final destination, because at 1 a.m. the vehicle was rear-ended going northbound on I-25 just outside of Douglas, Wyoming. Max, one of the pups being transported, was killed on impact. The next day, it was discovered that Remy, who was originally missing, was killed as well. Volunteers from Montana, Wyoming, Washington, and other surrounding areas help search day and night to find missing dogs and puppies. After being checked by a vet, the dogs were in need of another mode of transportation. That's when Dr. Peter Rork, the founder of My Dog is My Co-Pilot, stepped in.
We just couldn't say no. We had
God
other
bless
plans,
you,
but we
Peter.
just pushed them back. So I jumped in the plane this morning around 5:30 and flew over to Douglas, Wyoming, picked up the dogs. And, the first time they got on the van, they probably thought they got the golden ticket. But sadly for them, it was interrupted.
Dr. Rork flew the dogs to Missoula and then to Seattle, dropping them off to their new owners or to non-kill shelters. New owners picked up their pups from the Missoula International Airport on Sunday afternoon. Tallulah found her forever home with the Andersons, who say they're in love with their new best friend.
I think she's calm and loving and scared.
Yeah. We all got scared from her.
There was only one dog on that transport that landed in Missoula that wasn't already spoken for. His name is Duke. He's a 1.5-year-old pit, and despite the events of his last few days of travel, he's a happy, healthy pup who can't wait to find his forever home. In Missoula, Lauren Heiser, MTN News.
All right.
That was a fabulous, fabulous thing you did there, Peter. Do you remember that time?
I'll never forget it. It was, I had been flying for 4 days straight, and I got a call from Julie Hopper, who does an animal rescue organization up in Libby, Montana. And she said, "Did you hear about the accident?" I said, "No, I didn't hear." She says, "Well," and she explained the situation to me. And I said, "Julie, I've just been flying for 4 days." I said, "I don't know." She said, "Peter, you really have to step up." And I thought about it for about a second and a half. And then I said, "I can't say no. I can't say no." These people were stuck in the middle of nowhere. And the 3 drivers were in the hospital. Their van was destroyed. One of the dogs killed on impact. The other one got out and then was hit on the highway. It was just awful. So
Oh my gosh.
this was completely unplanned. Now, most of our trips are planned 6 months in advance. And then to throw this on our lap, this was a real surprise for me. And this is this is one of the trips that will go down with me forever, that I'll always remember.
Mm-hmm. So, Peter, I want to ask you now, why do you do this? What is your passion about it? I know you love animals. I know you specifically are really crazy about dogs, but what motivates you the most? Is it the overpopulation? Is it the euthanasia? Is it, we talked about spay neuter? What is it that really is your passion?
Well, I'm filling in the gaps for a lot of these groups. Honestly, I didn't know what was going on myself until the summer of 2012, just how serious it was. And when you retire, you have to retire to something, or
Right, yeah.
And I just couldn't see retiring to a golf course. I just thought I had the time, the skills, the resources, and there was a need. Now, as an orthopedic surgeon, that was exactly what I was doing for all those years. I had the time, the resources, and the skills. So when people came to me for help, I was there. Was there to help. I never questioned it. You can ask my children how many times I got up from the dinner table and went off to the emergency room. So
Yeah.
And then in the bigger picture, when I met Sharon, and it was jaw dropping. It was. I thought I have to be part of this. I have to be part of the solution. And so I have 4 dogs now. They're all rescues. I can't imagine. I could imagine maybe a larger bed because they all sleep on the same sleep on my bed with me, and they just whatever. And what is it about dogs that they don't sleep vertically? They like to sleep horizontally, and so you can't get your feet straightened out. So
Are you one of those? Are you one of those sleepers where if they're laying on you, you don't want to move them because you don't want to wake them up, or do you get only just a little bit on the bed.
Oh, I'll move them.
Yeah,
I'll move
you
them,
know,
but they go right back to sleep.
Peter, at one time, years and years ago in the late 70s, I ran a shelter called Save a Pet in Palatine, and it was a kill shelter at the time, and we converted it into a no kill, and I raised a couple $1 million to build a new kennel for them.
Wow.
I had 14 dogs because I took all the ones that nobody wanted, all the ones that were incontinent, they bit, they this, they that, and I had a king size bed and I had this much room
Right.
that I could have on it, and it was a hysterical thing. And I also had a cat named Pete, and he had distemper. He had distemper, but he knew how to go up and put his hand on the machine, the can opener. And when I would say, "Okay, everybody, let's go out," he went out with them. "Okay, everybody, come back in." He'd come back in. He thought he was a dog. It was really a hysterical thing. So when you were talking about how in the shelters it's the people, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But there are some shelters that don't get it. Also, they don't deal with the adoptions right and things like that, and sometimes things fall through the cracks. So I love what you're doing because you're like right on top of it, and you're dealing with people like Kelly Barker and Gina and a lot of these people that know
Amber,
exactly what they're doing.
Sharon. Oh yeah, I work with the same groups all the time, and every time I go in, it's like Old Home Week, and they have a lot of volunteers. They come out like army ants. They help organize flights. They help load the
Yeah,
aircraft, and
I think I've got some pictures of that. Here's some of them loading some of the things, and
yeah, yeah. I don't know if that was from this morning, but it could very well have been. And you see,
yeah,
we start very early in the morning before the sun comes up. It's still nice and cool, especially down in southern New Mexico. And I want to get them out of the heat and up to altitude where it's cool at the same time. Oh yeah, that
that
shot was taken in Las Cruces, and you can
okay,
see the Oregon Mountains right behind that.
right,
So
yeah.
yeah, Kelly
That's your
Barker.
plane.
That's my aircraft. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a Cessna Caravan,
yeah.
and it might be big, but at least it's slow. I mean, and it burns a lot of fuel. You know,
Yeah,
you and I have a similar background in that we followed our passion, not knowing what the heck we were getting into, and really, I had no idea just how truthful the phrase nonprofit meant. I mean, there's no profit in it.
yeah,
I mean, you're constantly beating the bushes trying to raise funds. And it's just, for me, always feel very funny about that. Um, but in order to stay wheels up, we need to
yeah,
pay the butcher. Got to pay the butcher's bill. Got to pay for the fuel, the maintenance of the aircraft, the tie down, the
right.
hangar. I mean, I certainly don't take any salary. And today was I'm flying with a new pilot who's going to be joining us, so I can fly a little bit less than I'm flying now. I'm really kind of stretched to the limit and just need a little bit more time off. And so we've been flying for 2 days. Terrific guy, retired airline pilot. He lives in Jackson, and he gets it. He's got 3 rescues at home, and Tom Needham, just a terrific guy. So you're going to be
Great.
seeing him in some of the pictures coming forward. So
Okay. So what are your future plans now, Peter? What do you hope to see if you were looking in the future and you had your wish list? Because we
well,
want to help you. We want to help you with your wish list.
sure,
By us promoting, we feel that you have a great presence and everything. And the more we can get your picture out there and the more we can get you out there, the more people are going to respond and the more money you're going to raise to help these animals. I don't know if you know or not, but this broadcasting on live social media, especially multi-streaming, it's brand new. We're the ones with the pioneers in our backs with the arrows. So we take all the hits when glitches happen and but we reach an area that nobody else reaches, not NBC, and people can tune into it, and we have a captive audience because like you said, our audience are dog lovers. So
right,
they're empathetic and they're compassionate. So people like you, bringing you onto our show, we're helping you with the exposure so that people can hear not about what you do, but why you do it, and feel
Well,
the empathy and that you have in your heart, where it's so important to you. Whoa,
well,
not
I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say that, but there are really four things that your listeners can do. They can go by the shelter and adopt an animal. Better yet, adopt two. They can keep each other company. And remember that every animal that you save saves two, the one that you save and the one that takes its place. If you can't adopt, then foster an animal. Get the animal. They're frightened. They're cowering in the corner. Get them out, take them home, socialize them for them, make them much more adoptable. If you can't do that, then go down and volunteer. Clean out the stalls, change the water, groom the animals, take them for a walk. I mean, all these things are so important. And if you can't do any of those, then reach into your pocket and donate. You can do that. All right. Donate to your local facility. Donate to Dog is My Co-Pilot. We could certainly could use the funds. We have a very expensive proposition, but we're able to. Our financial model is that we're able to transport uh, an animal for $50 per transport per animal, and that's very cost effective when you consider that the facilities are spending $400 or $500 to get these animals ready for adoption, and then people walk in, they say, "Well, you're going to charge me for adoption?" I mean, geez,
yeah,
this doesn't come for free. I mean, the money isn't like manna from heaven.
yeah,
All right. These are real people. They're rubbing nickels together trying to get it done, trying
yeah.
to find donated bags of dog food. I
Hmm.
mean, they have no idea what the desperate straits these places are in. So I'm a part of that. I'm a part where they have dogs that are tagged that can be transported. You're a part of it, yeah, that can be transported and not put them in a van and drive them for 20 hours. I can get them from the dogs tomorrow that are flying out of here. They're going to Salt Lake and Spokane, Washington. Now, how long a drive would it be from here to Spokane, Washington?
Yeah.
That's got to be 23, 24 hours or something. And for the dogs to be locked into that crate for that whole time, and those poor people up front, just driving, and they're just drinking so much coffee to stay awake. Now, I get that. I drink coffee to stay awake in the airplane, but I'm going to get there a lot faster than they will. They're going to be there by cocktail hour tomorrow afternoon. So
Yeah.
this is good. I mean, I'm happy to provide that, and I have a lot of people who donate. We could certainly use more. We have a program called a squadron membership, where you can sign up and sign. It's just charged to your credit card every month. $5, $10, $25. It's what you're spending when you go out to Starbucks once a week.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
think about make your coffee at home the way Peter the pilot does, and then donate the money that you're not spending on coffee to the worthy cause. It doesn't have to be the nonprofit that I created, but pick a nonprofit that is in animal welfare and help them. Believe me, they could use the help.
So tell me now, what is your future plans?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
You
Oh, we
started
were
on
talking
that,
about
and then
that.
I,
Yeah.
I I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry
As,
about that.
as, as did I. Well, I always thought when I started this in 2012, I'd do it for 10 years, pull the plug, and that'd be it. But we've become a victim of our own success. Now, I can't do this forever. Last year I just joined the club that no one ever wants to join, but once you're in, you never want to quit, and that's Medicare. So,
I've been
so
there a while.
yeah. All right. I want to be in it for a long time. So we want this to go forward. And so we're looking for pilots who will volunteer their time and fly these missions. Now, a lot of people want to line up and fly someone else's airplane and get paid for it.
Yeah, right.
That
Yeah,
no, we're
that's
pouring all of our money into the resources of getting the aircraft around the circuits to save the animals. All right, we don't have any extra funds for the pilots. So if you're a retired caravan pilot, you flew for FedEx or an airline pilot, and you want to do one trip a week or something like that, and you'll fly into Jackson, Wyoming. We'll pick you up, we'll set you up, and then point the direction, and off you go. Bring it. Love to have you on board. We'll even send you to flight safety if you're qualified and you promise to fly for us for a while, and pay for your training if you're not caravan trained. Um, that's going to keep us going. We've got a couple large financial items coming up. The turbine engine has to be overhauled every 3,600 hours, and I have about 700 hours left. And so sometime in the middle of next year, I'm looking at uh, 350 or $400,000 to get a new engine put up front. But
Wow.
if that's the only moving part on the airplane, you want to make sure it's in good shape.
Yeah, well, I would
You
hope
know,
so. Yeah,
you know, they say,
my husband was a fighter pilot in the Air Force, and then
oh,
he flew planes as well. So he always would say that very same thing. Yeah, and it's important. Landing gear was always the big deal.
the caravan has fixed gear. The gear is down
Oh,
and welded. I can't retract it. But they say that the propeller on the front of an airplane is just a fan that keeps a pilot cool, because you should see him sweat when it stops.
yeah, yeah,
So,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah. So we fly the wings off that airplane. All for our flight season is about 7 months long. During the winter, we don't do a lot of flying because the weather. Our flights take us over the Rocky Mountains, the Sierra Madres, and the Cascades. And you're thinking, okay, I'm flying in a single engine aircraft over the mountains in bad weather. What possibly could go wrong? I mean, so we're very cautious about that. Safety first. And
Yes.
it's
Oh, yeah.
rare that we have to cancel a flight, but when we do, everybody gets it. Everybody understands. But usually what we're able to do is just push the flight back maybe a day or so, and then fly in a better weather window.
Right.
So we're looking to continue this, and I don't see an end to it. The aircraft that I have, the only part that has to be replaced is the engine, which is every 3,600 hours, and we're flying about 500 hours a year. So every 7 years we run into that issue. So and these aircraft are built to last forever. So I'm hoping we're doing this for at least another say 20 or 30,000 animals.
Oh my gosh. God bless you, Peter. I didn't know until you were coming on the show. I knew about Dog as my co-pilot, but I really didn't do a lot of research. And so I took the time to make certain that I did it. And you've won awards. You're such a great speaker. You speak with such passion. Um, every place I look, I see Dog is my co-pilot now. Dog is my co-pilot, and that's a name to get out. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I want to share your promotional video so that people can see that.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Peter Rork. I'm the president and pilot of Dog as my co-pilot. Did you know that there are 8 million animals in shelters around the country? These shelters are completely overrun with overpopulation, owner surrenders, and strays. They have 3 options to take care of these animals. Either adopt them out, transport them to other facilities that will accept them, or sadly euthanasia. And that means one animal in this country is killed every 3 seconds. And these are otherwise healthy and adoptable animals. Ground transport just doesn't make sense when you fill a van with 30 or 40 animals and you drive them 16 or 18 hours. That's just tough on everybody. And that's the service that Dog as my co-pilot provides. We provide the long distance transport where ground transport just doesn't make sense. And we can fly up to 130 animals at a time to the facilities that will never put down a healthy animal. If you take anything away from this, if you are a pet owner, please spay and neuter. If you're not, please go by your local shelter and adopt an animal. If you can't adopt an animal, then foster one. If you can't foster one, then volunteer at the shelter and help them out. If you can't volunteer, then donate. Donate to your local shelter. Donate to Dog as my co-pilot. We're a nonprofit. We never charge the senders. We never charge the receivers for our long distance transport services. You can visit our website, www.dogcopilot.org, and there you'll find a link where you can donate to our organization. All donations are tax deductible. Thank you for your time.
Every animal that you save saves two. The one that you save and the one that takes its place. Adopt, don't shop.
Now that was beautiful, Peter. That was so well done. You are such a
Thank
good
you.
speaker for your cause.
Oh, it only took about 50 takes. Kidding.
Been there, done that. Hey.
Now this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. And when you said, "Can you come on the show and talk about Dog as my co-pilot for an hour?" I said, "I only get an hour." I could go on all night long. I mean, I love what I do. I love the animals that I've saved, that I've brought home. I actually, two have come directly off my flights.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay.
oh yeah. Well, I have a Queensland Heeler. She was number 4,000, and I have a Chocolate Lab, and he was my number 10,000. 10,000 passenger, and so they're just great. And they, I travel 3-4 days a week flying for the nonprofit, and when the best thing is when I come home and they're jumping straight up and down, and they're so
it's like
happy to see me.
having a drink, isn't it? Because you can walk in the door and you're so upset from the day or whatever, and there they are with the hugs and the kisses. Well, not so much the hugs, but the kisses, and your whole mood just changes.
Oh, I could have the drink too.
Well,
But
I don't drink, so
as I said, more for me.
yeah. Yeah. Well, the last question I was going to ask you pretty much said already now was the fulfillment that you get, the reward that you get. One of the things that we like to bring out in the show is when people do something, their product, their service, whatever it is that they do, that's fine. But we want to know the feeling, the emotions they have. And you have been very open with what your feelings are. This is a passion for you. And the fulfillment has to be, and the rewards have to be overwhelming.
Well, the people who go to this shelter to adopt a dog have no idea all the people who are involved, and the work and the time that it takes and the money to get it done. They just think, "Oh, we're just going to get a dog and we're going to bring him home, and let's hope it works out." And hopefully not tie him to the tree in the backyard. So I'm just part of that. I'm and I actually a very small part, time wise, for what we offer for the shelters or the facilities, in getting them so far away it'll never be a problem for that animal again. That's great. I've been a pilot. Oh, I just got my Wright Brothers Master Pilots Award from the FAA for being a pilot for more than 50 years.
Oh
and,
my gosh.
and still standing. Yeah, all right. So I was very, very proud of that, and about as proud of that as I am my medical degree. But I was able to use my piloting skills and the resources to get the aircraft and to start the nonprofit to take care of the problem. Now, you and I both know, because we're both on Team Save a Dog, that all the work we do kind of flies under the radar. They don't realize all the effort that is put into that.
That's why we're doing this show, so that people can become aware of it. That's why it's so popular, because people want to know what happens behind the scenes. They want to know what it takes. It takes a tremendous amount of work, and when people realize it, I'm so sorry I interrupted you. It's one of my bad habits. I'm going to try and lick that. But the thing that really bites me the most is that when people finally get it, for instance, with this show, we have not only the show, but the Dog Connection TV, we have been able to help people to understand that don't go to the shelter and adopt a dog if you don't know what you're doing. because you're going to bring that dog right back again because it either peed in the house or it did something, some behavior that you didn't like. Be prepared before you go.
You got to give
And
it time.
yes,
You got to give it time and foster the animal first. If it doesn't work out,
right.
then you can bring it back, and it's a no harm, no foul. But give it at least 10 days or 2 weeks. Now these animals, all the animals are there. They may have one issue. They were a barker, or they have separation anxiety, or they were chewers, or something like that. When I brought home number 10,000, this is the dog that was picked up as a stray, and he had no verbal commands. Marked every piece of furniture in my house. He uh, he had food issues with my other dogs. Um, he wasn't leash trained. This dog was a nightmare. Um, but I was committed to this animal, and I could see in this dog's eyes that he was committed to me. And I thought, I'm not going to let him down, because if this is a failure, it's my failure. It's not his failure.
Right, right.
It,
Yeah.
it it's my failure. So I enlisted help with a dog trainer, and we worked and we worked and we worked, and we found solutions. And little by little by little, I mean, this dog is he'll still chase the deer and he won't come back. All
Yeah.
right. But so when I walk the dogs, I keep him on a leash. But that's the only bad habit that he has left,
Yeah.
and chasing wildlife. So he's housebroken. He gets along well with the other dogs. He, when he sleeps on my bed, he likes to put his nose right by my ear. Now that can be distracting sometimes, but
Uh-huh.
I'll deal with it. I mean,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
and his name is Hobbs, because I got him from Hobbs, New Mexico. People
Okay.
say, "Oh, what, like Calvin and Hobbes?" I go,
Yeah,
"No,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah." And the other one was a Queensland hero, Tia. Her name was Tortilla, and I've said, "I'm not calling that dog Tortilla." I said, I'll call her Tia. That's fine. Now she was a
Burrito, maybe.
yeah, right. So she was a fully trained service dog. And if any of you ever had dealt with a Queensland Heeler, they're grinners and they snort, just
Yeah.
like that. They show their teeth because they're happy. And so when the woman died who had the dog, the family didn't like the dog, took her directly to the kill shelter, not the
Mhm.
kill facility. And someone in Salt Lake was smart enough to tag the animal for transport. And so they pulled her off the plane, and they said, "We want a picture of you with this dog." She came up, curled up, and looked at me. I said, "Girl, you're coming home with me." And
Good for you.
she's been the smallest dog I've ever had. She weighs barely 30 pounds. I mean, personally, eh, I've always thought, well, a dog's not a dog unless it weighs about 70 pounds and has a big tail that knocks all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
off the coffee table. All right. But that's not for everybody. That's just the way I am. So, yeah.
Hey,
So
Peter,
they both,
is your wish list like mine? My wish list is I wish that people would be more like dogs. They would learn from dogs.
well,
They
I certainly have.
I
I,
sure have too. I
yeah,
live in the moment. I used to live in the past, worry about it all the time, and it would bother me. They don't care. And you know what? I love that they don't care what you look like, what you smell like. All they care about is that they get love and they give love.
sure. I mean,
I think that's a model for all
the saying
humans.
is to err is human, to forgive is canine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about the last thing is about your freedom flights. I understand that there's not a dry eye in the house when they see your plane take off.
Oh,
Uh,
well, of course, I'm already gone by then. But the people who they'll always send me videos of that,
uh-huh.
and I find it interesting because I never see a picture of me flying an airplane, because I'm always on the inside, looking at the instrument panel and
Right.
listening to actually the dogs are usually very, very quiet at that point. And it's a good point, because if you'll watch some of the videos that we post when we're loading, the dogs are making a lot of noise. and then we load them on the plane. They're making a lot of noise. Everything is routine for them until the engine starts. And then they think, oh, what now? And you have to wonder, are they thinking, is it going to hurt? You know, because they've
Yeah,
been
right.
so
Yeah.
much, so much. So all these flights are, we try to fill every flight every time. The sending group understands that we want to make the best use of our resources. I mean, if I were to fly one animal in a 200 animal airplane, for that animal, it's a game changer. But look at all the other animals that could have been saved. So we make them coordinated. So we never fly for the same group more closer than 2 weeks together. So I did drop some animals off in Salt Lake today. There are a lot of receiving groups in the Salt Lake area. Tomorrow we're flying back up to Salt Lake before we go to Spokane, and I'll drop off another 40 or 50 animals, and different groups will come in. And all the places, the gas stations, we call them FBOs, fixed base operators. I deal with the same people over and over again. About 80% of them will discount the fuel for us, and recognizing the service that we're providing. And so it's just great. It's especially when I work with the new groups. It's always a challenge because they're used to driving dogs long distances, so they put the smallest dog in the largest crate.
Mhm.
And for all you pilots out there, all about flying is about weight and balance. But when we're flying the dogs, it's not so much about the weight as the volume of the crate, because these crates are bigger than the dogs and they take up a lot of room. So we like to have the very smallest crate possible. I want them to be able to stand up even if they have to duck their head. They're able to turn around
Mhm.
because within 5 minutes of taking off, they're all lying down. And I'm looking back and I'm looking at all that wasted space where we could have put more animals. So
Well, I
I
would
got
think I would think that they would like that vibration, and it would be almost like a calming effect for them.
they all get quiet as soon as I add the power for
Yeah.
takeoff.
Can we
And
take a look at your a takeoff of one of your flights? I think this one may have even been from today.
okay,
I'm
sure,
not sure.
yeah,
Let's look at this.
yeah, that's a
Is that from today?
yes. This is from today. This is from Hobbs this morning. We were doing the pre-flight, and now we're on the active runway, and it was even before the tower opened. So it
Okay.
was kind of see and be seen. Add the
So
power, and rolling down the runway. I'm breaking in a new pilot, so he was sitting in the left seat, and we kept going down the runway. I said, Tom, are we flying there or are we driving there? So eventually he pulled back on the yoke, and then off we went. So, and that was
On to their new forevers.
yeah,
yeah.
that's
9 dogs and 1 cat. Hobbs, Denver City, Seagrave, Seminole, Plains, Brownfield. On to their new forevers.
and there we go.
And there you go. So
Thank you, dog is my co-pilot.
Oh, Gina Baird, she is so easy to work with. She is such a professional.
yeah.
I really enjoy and all the groups that work with her. I really enjoy going to Hobbs, and the Mexican food's not bad either. So
Well,
that's good.
I can imagine on that flight now. Here's what I was feeling. This is just from me. I was feeling, oh my gosh, we just saved 50, 60 animal
There was
dogs.
60 animals.
It's got to be a huge emotional thing. The freedom flight. It's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful vision. It's wonderful. Just
Well,
absolutely wonderful.
what my motivation is in loading the aircraft is knowing that any animal that I can't get on board that I leave behind is going to be taken right back and euthanized. So
Oh,
I never played Tetris before. I was always a Sudoku kind of guy.
yeah.
Uh, but I played Tetris every day in the airplane, mixing the big crates and the small crates and the medium crates,
Yeah.
and leaving no space left unused. So that's what we do. And today
Yeah.
I had a great help with a kid named Will. He climbed right in there with me, and he had never been in the airplane before. And boy, I was just standing back and watching this kid go. I was just ending up pointing because a lot of these crates, the dogs weigh 40 or 50 pounds, and we're bent over in the cabin and we're lifting, and it can be rather strenuous on the spine. So it's always good to have help, and the people are, especially Gina and Amber Reed, who does a great job, and so they do. Yeah, really enjoy working with them.
Well, Peter, what a fabulous show. Let me see. We've gone 50, almost 55 minutes. 50, so we're
I
just
thought we
about to.
just started.
Yeah. I
Holy
could
smokes.
talk. Could talk for you. Please come back on the show again anytime you feel like it. We will make special provisions for you, and it doesn't have to be here in Phoenix. You can do it from anywhere,
Sure, let's
anywhere
do
you're
this
at.
a year from now, and I'll give you an update on what we're doing and where we are and what we've done over the previous 12 months.
Well, I'd like to do it a little sooner than that. We want to be able to promote you, so let's
Uh,
promote you
I'll
more.
be I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay, there you go. There you go. We can do another one tomorrow.
We
Peter,
are so grateful for this opportunity. I have to mention Kara Pollard, who's my ground control. She's the one who deals with all the groups, coordinating all the flights, making sure that people are there on time, both the sending and the receiving groups. While I'm flying, I know on the airlines they say you can't use your cell phone, but we're texting back and forth all the time. I'm constantly giving her updates. I absolutely couldn't do it without her. She's just terrific, and she's a sweetheart. She's as helpful and smart as she is sweet. And so, Kara, thank you. I really appreciate that. She's been with the organization for about 3, maybe 4 years now, and it, this gal, I have to say, Kara, apologize here, but she's kind of geographically challenged. She says, "Oh, after you drop these dogs off in Denver, would you go to Chicago and then maybe drop them off in Seattle and then to go to LA?" I'm going, Kara. I said, no,
Yeah.
that's not gonna work. I'm
Yeah,
kidding,
that's
of course. I'm kidding. But she's constantly adding trips to get more animals safe. She used to run the animal adoption center in Jackson, did a great job, and
right.
I stole her from them. Yay.
Well, it's a funny thing because when I wanted to know information about you, I would ask Kelly because I
Oh
know that
yeah,
Kelly knows you, Kelly
Kelly
Barker,
Barker.
and
Yes.
Kelly would say, "Let me ask Kara."
Well, Kelly had some medical issues last year
Right.
and had to step back from the very thing that she lived for. And I just flew a flight for her a couple weeks ago, and let me tell you, everyone, she's back. All right,
Yeah.
she's
Well, when we're off the air, I want to mention that. Yeah, she's not only back, but she's raring to go, and I'm right
oh
behind her. I'm a big supporter too. So,
yeah.
um, I think we have somebody else that. Oh, we have somebody else here now too. Oh, hello from Pennsylvania. We've got quite a number of people that have been watching. Well, we did a wonderful show, Peter. I'm so excited. I can't wait to do it again. You want to come back tomorrow? Well, of course, you're leaving in the morning, but
I'm leaving in the morning.
you could
I'll
do it
meet
from
you
the plane.
I'll be at the airport at 4:30 in the morning. We're loading at 5, wheels up by 6. So,
Okay.
but why don't I come back sometime in the fall when it's just a little cooler?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Will do. Thank you, Peter, so very much.
Kathy,